What was the purpose of the FBI raiding former President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago? Now, in the early stages, we heard about nuclear codes, and all of that nuclear talk has completely vanished. In fact, there is no reference, there's no mention of nuclear secrets or nuclear codes or nuclear anything in the admittedly highly redacted affidavit that has now been released. By the way, the Biden DOJ wanted to keep this affidavit. The affidavit is the document that justifies, that's presented to the court, saying, here's what we got. This is what shows that there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, and therefore, Judge Reinhardt, we need you to sign off on the raid. That's what the affidavit does. And the Biden DOJ wanted to keep the affidavit sealed. It has been partially released. Of course, a lot of it has been blackened out or redacted. But let's look at what we do see. Well, first of all, what we do see is that the apparent justification for the raid is it was triggered by a request that was made by the National Archives. The National Archives, kind of a national library that keeps documents. And the National Archives said, we believe that there may be, or we believe that there are, classified documents in the boxes that Trump has in his possession at Mar-a-Lago. So right away, we realize we're dealing with a kind of a document fight. There seems to be nothing in the affidavit that says that Trump wasn't cooperating in the return of these documents. So the question then becomes, let's say that Trump is in possession of classified documents. Why would you do a raid? Remember, the raid is not merely, there are documents, I want to get them back. The raid is, I think a crime has been committed. So where's the crime? Is the crime that the documents are classified and Trump is not entitled to have them? That becomes a highly gray area for the simple reason that there is, now if you or I had classified documents in our possession, then the FBI could prima facie say, well, clearly Dinesh has no reason to have these documents, let's go raid his house. But when you're dealing with the former president of the United States, the issue of whether these documents are classified or declassified, let's think about who's the one who declassifies them. Answer, Trump. Trump is in every position to declassify the documents in his possession. And so the idea that somehow you can raid his house because he is in possession of documents that he himself has the power to declassify, this is a very dubious proposition. This is really what makes all this so unprecedented. Remember, Hillary, for a fact, had classified documents in her possession. Hillary was the Secretary of State, not the president. And yet, the FBI made the decision not only not to raid, but not even to investigate. No attempt to even go after Hillary, even though James Comey admitted that A, she has classified documents, B, she destroyed documents, even though subpoenas had been issued for those documents. So this seems to be a case where the FBI is after something. And the real question is, what is the FBI after? Now, one theory that seems very persuasive to me is that the FBI wants documents to be taken away from Mar-a-Lago that can be used against the FBI. In other words, not used to jeopardize national security. Let's remember that organizations like the FBI and the CIA, whenever they say the word national security, you've got to ask, is it really national security or is it your security? Is it really that the country is in danger or is it that your corruption is in danger? The latter in many cases, and the latter certainly in this case, much more likely. So what seems to be going on is that the FBI has reasoned that there may be documents in Trump's possession that can be used to bust the FBI, to prosecute the FBI, to go after corrupt agents, and going all the way to the very top, going up to agents that could be the director, the associate director, the top agents in particular areas. And so the FBI is, before the Republicans take the House, before Jim Jordan becomes the head of the Judiciary Committee. Remember, Jim Jordan is going to look very skeptically on this Mar-a-Lago raid. In fact, when Debbie and I were down in Mar-a-Lago, I think this was for the screening, if I remember correctly. Honey, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It was for the screening of the movie where we were having lunch afterward, and there was Jim Jordan at Mar-a-Lago. And so with this guy being being now in charge of the House committee overseeing the FBI, it makes total sense to me that the FBI goes, listen, if there's any incriminating information against us that is in Trump's possession under the pretense of national security, let's get it back. That way we have it, they don't have it, and we can then hide it. We can keep it away from Trump. We can keep it away from Jim Jordan. We can prevent the accountability that we need, that should be happening to us, from happening to us.